You slowly become a shell of the man that you used to be. The person, the competitor kind of dies down a little bit. Your discipline for your workouts, for your food, for your business, everything kind of slows down a little bit. Your discipline is getting weaker. Maybe you're not as hungry. And that's when you start telling stories about who you used to be instead of the person that you're becoming and who you are building towards. That's when that starts. Man, you were the man. I was the man. But I just got tired. Age. Once you hit 40, it's all downhill. That's the line that we tell ourselves. And that's the line that basically allows you to make excuses as to why you are not building yourself, why you are not becoming the 2.0 version. All right, welcome back to the Next Level Dad Fitness Podcast. First, I want to thank you so much for hanging out with me and joining me here today on this episode. Super grateful for the opportunity to talk to you guys about topics that I find important, that I find are worthy of talking about, and that'll get guys and gals to move forward in their progress to become the best version of themselves. So in today's episode, I'm going to start with a serious question, and that might make you feel uncomfortable. Maybe you've been avoiding asking this question, or maybe you don't really have these kinds of thoughts and never really considered it. But where would your life be in 12 months if you did absolutely nothing? Nothing to move forward, nothing to strive for, not chasing any personal growth or any personal goals. What if you stayed exactly the same for the next 12 months? Who would you be? Would you be stuck in the same habits? Would you have the same excuses that you currently have? Is life too busy? Do you not have any time? What's the most common one is, I don't have time and I'll start on Monday, or I'll start next month, or I'll start March 1st. That's when I'm going to get things going, and that's when I'm going to make the move. But one thing I know for sure is that I'm not starting today. And I'm not starting today because I don't have things figured out. First, I need to have a game plan. I need to know exactly what I need to do. I need to figure out all the terms and that plan of action and who to talk to, what program to download. And then I need to talk to my wife. My wife will talk me out of this, right? My wife will save me. That's a very common one. Oh, I need to talk to my wife. Then you don't talk to her. And then you just procrastinate. And then you don't actually make the move. You don't actually take the step forward to change your life. And ultimately, when it comes down to it, this is your one and only chance. This is your one and only life. You only get one crack at this. So what makes you think that you're going to get March 1st, April 1st, next week? A lot of people have that mindset of, oh, I'll just push it off to the future. But you never truly stop to think like, well, who in the world says you're going to have that time, that opportunity? Who knows what can happen? And so usually the hardest part is not coming up with a game plan. It's just taking that first step, the first step forward to becoming that 2.0 version of yourself. That is honestly the hardest part of all of this. And so you don't have to wait till the spring is over. You don't have to wait till the summer. You don't have to wait for all of the things to come into play, for everything to fall into place perfectly. Because honestly, you and I know that that's never going to happen. When the kids get back into school, when the kids get out of school, when they're off in college, whatever the excuse is, it's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be the right time. So the time to take action is now. But why aren't you doing it? Why don't we do it? Well, the most common one I've heard and the most common one I've used personally is that I am too tired. I have too many things going on. I don't have any time and it's just I'm exhausted. And yeah, that might be true, but some people use it so much that they wear it as their identity. They throw it on. This is who I am. I'm just tired and that's all I believe and I'm going to fight for this. I'm going to fight. Fernando, you don't understand. I'm just tired. I have so much stress. Work, kids, wife, all of these million things. I can't take care of myself. That's another common one. It's sounds noble for a second when you say, I have my wife and my kids, and I have to take care of all of their needs before I even get a chance to even think about myself or my work or whatever it is. And so that gives you an excuse to totally neglect yourself, neglect your goals, neglect your physical fitness, neglect what you've been thinking about, what's been brewing inside of you, the dreams. I have to take the kids to practice. I have to drive my other daughter to dance. I have this weekend thing that the kids have. I have this work class that I have to go to every single day. And this is the reason why I cannot stay on track. This is a reason why I cannot be the version of myself that I know that I can be. I know that I can be this person, but I have these excuses and I'm going to hold on to these excuses. Or how about the occasional drink on the weekend? The occasional drink on the weekend that turns into the nightly glass of wine, that turns into the nightly buzz just to take the edge off. And sometimes it's a little more than a buzz. And all of that is just numbing. You're just numbing yourself. How do I know this? Because I read a study that says if you drink a glass of wine every night, it's supposed to be good for you, good for your stress, good for your health. So I was like, I'm in. And that's what I did for a while. Nightly little buzz. And all that was doing was it was just numbing. The numbing of the stress to provide, the stress in marriage, the stress with your kids. That's what I was doing. And so that's why I can talk to it directly because those vices or that numbing agent, whatever you use to numb, whatever you use to take your mind off of the financial stress. Maybe you have some investments that you're tied up in. Bitcoin is taking a dump right now. Maybe you have some real estate investments that are just tying up your cash. Maybe you have contractors that are taking forever doing shady work, taking your money, permits, fix and flips. I have experience with that stuff, and I know real estate is very stressful, and there's a lot of money that's tied up into it. It's not like you can invest it and then pull it right out. Sometimes it takes 6 months, a year. I've been on a deal for well over a year in a real estate investment that didn't work out as well as I wanted to. So I know the financial stress. I know what putting multiple thousands of dollars into an investment and you're just like, "Ooh, gosh, this is stressful. How am I going to numb this?" Well, I'm just going to drink some wine because that's what the report said. And I'm telling you right now, it's not the way to go. Maybe you feel exhausted and you can't fall asleep. So you think drinking that wine or drinking that beer or whatever is going to help you fall asleep. But there's multiple studies that show that that is not true. Alcohol does not help you go to sleep. It does not help you sleep better. It does not improve your sleep. Quite the opposite. It does not. Or maybe you have some marriage tension. Maybe you and the wife aren't connecting the way that you want to connect. I've certainly been there where things just, you aren't seeing eye to eye. Things are just not in flow. You wish that they were. And so you feel like, well, let me just take this drink. Let me just ease the tension that is happening between my wife and I at home, because you think that drinking will make it easier, but it is not. Or maybe your life just feels like you've been hitting cruise control and everything is predictable, everything feels routine. You're in full comfort mode. Maybe you're comparing yourself to other people and you're trying to just numb that. Social media is definitely something that can create that for many, many men and women. So instead of building yourself up, building on something, what do? We sip and we scroll. Sip, scroll, scroll, scroll. And it's not that you don't have time. You definitely have time, because when you open the app, Apple has this thing that basically tells you how much time you are donating to these apps. And once you see how much time you're donating to Instagram, 2 hours a day, whoo, you're giving your time away. You're donating your life away to Instagram or to TikTok or to YouTube and all, or any one of these apps. They're taking your time. And so you definitely do have time that you can remove from scrolling and you can now utilize to start building something, start improving yourself. So, what happens in the next 12 months if you stay in the same spot in your marriage? Are you going to be too busy to prioritize date night? I've made an entire podcast episode on the importance of date night and why I think it is the absolute key, personally, to a successful marriage. Now, there's a lot of different factors, a lot of different things that make a good marriage, not just a date night. But I think personally, the time that you spend away in a different environment, not in the home, and if you have little kids, you are away from everybody, you're away from the chaos, and you're able to connect on a different level. Man, date night is the absolute key to the connection, to the reconnection, that spark, that rekindle. That's definitely one way to move forward in the next 12 months, to not stay in the same spot in your relationship in the next 12 months. Date night once a month. And if you can, every 2 weeks. And if you really can, once a week. But I know that can be difficult with work schedules and sports, with kids and practice and all of these million things that we got. If you can do one date night every 2 weeks, where will your marriage be in the next 12 months? Guarantee it'll be better, in a better spot. You'll be closer in your relationship and you'll improve on so many things, because that's the foundation. And so why don't we do that? Why don't we prioritize the date night? Me, old me, because I was small minded and I was not of the growth mindset and I was of the scarcity mindset. Why don't you do it? It's because, oh, it's too expensive. I got to get a babysitter. I have to pay for the date. And I'm just too cheap for that. I can't spend 200, 300 bucks on the most important relationship that I have aside from God. I can't spend 250 because the babysitter is just going to come and the babysitter is just going to sit on the couch and make $100 off of me? Oof, no way. That was what I thought. That was what I thought. The babysitter is going to take my money rather than thinking of, I'm going to connect with my wife and build on the foundation of our home, because the relationship between a husband and a wife, that's the foundation of the home. And the closer you get and the stronger that foundation is, then the more your kids will be happier, because they'll see that their parents are happy. And so here's something that nobody talks about. It's easy. It's super easy to prioritize your kids and unintentionally deprioritize the relationship with your wife. How do I know it? Because I've done it myself. I'm not telling you something I read in a book. I actually lived this myself. Prioritizing my kids, prioritizing what I need to do with them. A little backstory on me. My parents divorced when I was 7 years old. And ever since I was 7 years old, I basically never really had a close relationship with my dad. Wasn't because he didn't try. It wasn't because he was a bad father. It was just because when my parents divorced, we moved around a bunch. We moved city to city down here in LA, and then we moved states. And so my dad wasn't able to be around. So because of my lack of relationship with my dad growing up, and it just was never the same. I felt like I'm not going to have that with my kids. And I'm going to prioritize every single moment that I have with them, because I didn't have a father figure. And while that might sound kind of like, yeah, it's good to spend time with your kids, I deprioritize the relationship with my wife. And that's the foundation of the home. The foundation of the home is the marriage, and it's not the kids. And when that foundation cracks, the whole house feels it. Everything is off when the foundation of the household is off. Everything suffers. Is that what you want for the next 12 months? Is that the version of yourself that you want to be? Or is this something that you can work on? It doesn't always have to be fitness. It can be all of these different relationships that we have. Of course, we want to be better dads. Of course, we want to be the best dad that we can possibly be. But we have to be better husbands first. So maybe that's where you need to be. I don't know. And so that's the truth that I had to learn, is that if I'm not being a strong husband first, I'm not actually being the best dad that I can be. Because the greatest gift that I can give to my daughters is a strong relationship, loving, healthy, strong relationship with my wife, a strong marriage, because they are watching. My daughters, your kids, they are watching. They see everything. They see how we handle the stress. Does everything bothering me? Am I wound up so tight that every little thing bothers me? Am I stressed out? How am I talking to their mom? How am I talking to other people? How am I talking about other people? Am I just yapping all day, talking mad noise about everybody? Or am I being a strong leader? Does everything bother me? These are all things that you need to think about. And these are all things that we can work on now and improve upon in the next 12 months. So am I showing up as the leader that I should be? Or am I drifting as a leader? That's another question. And I know a lot of dads have high expectations of their kids. And that's very important, to have high expectations. And I especially see it as a sports dad. When I watch my kids play sports and I watch other dads We all have very high expectations of our kids. But then the greater question is, do we have those same high expectations of ourselves as dads? Something to think about. Are you not worthy of having high expectations for yourself because you're 45, 40, 50? I don't know. Are we just chopped liver now that we're dads? Do we not have high expectation? Do we not have discipline for ourselves? I know I definitely have I've had discipline for my kids, and that's easy. Hey, do this. You're gonna get up, you're gonna eat, you're gonna go to school, and then after we're gonna do strength and conditioning, and then we're gonna do some batting practice, and then we're gonna do some homework, and then we're gonna do some mental work and all this other stuff. Like that's easy. But what about being disciplined as a man in his 40s? Woo, that is hard. Why? Because we don't have that accountability. There's nobody over our shoulder telling us, like, hey, you need to do this. You need to do this on time. You need to go get your workout in. You need to go do this. All right. Where's the discipline for a dad? Who is holding us accountable? A lot of the times, it's nobody. Nobody's really holding us accountable. But we know what we should be doing. But it's hard to actually do it. It's hard to actually do it if you don't have people around you that are holding you accountable. But in truth, that's the best example that we can be setting for our kids, for them to look at and for them to try to emulate. A father that holds himself to a high standard, who is disciplined, who is improving year after year after year, who isn't the same in August as he was in January, who isn't the same in December at the end of the year as he was in January. That's the example that we could be setting. That's the example that we should be setting. And now, talking about examples, saying that you're going to do something and actually following through on what you said you would do. That is hard. That's hard, man. That's pressure. Writing something down, follow through. It's easy to tell my kids to do it. It's not so easy to do it myself, but that's the example. That is what moves the needle. That is what gets you to be the best version of yourself, the 2.0 version, the version of yourself that is different in September, that was different from March. Write it down, follow through. And it's not easy. That's growth. It's not staying the same. That is freaking hard. That is hard work. And one more thing just about our kids watching everything we do. Recently, I was hanging out with a friend, and our kids were riding bikes and hanging out, talking. And my friend had a drink in his hand. And somehow the conversation of, hey, you stopped drinking, huh? Came up, and yeah, I haven't been drinking for the last few years, gave it up the last 3 years. And, our kids are riding bikes and not even considering that they were listening. One of his kids comes up and says, hey, dad, when are you going to stop drinking? And it was funny and awkward at the same time because, first of all, I was like, whoa, I didn't even know you were even listening. Second, you're like 6. How do you even know what drinking is? Like, what in the world? And then he goes, yeah, every time we walk in the house and we look in the fridge, there's no more beers because you drink them all. And my friend's like, just stop. Get on your bike and start rolling. Get on your bike. Get out of here. Yeah, dad, when are you going to stop drinking? Just go. Get out of here. And so that was funny and awkward at the same time. But if you think that your kids are not watching what you do, what you say, how you act, if you're drinking, kids are watching all the time. They watch everything we do. And so that really took me by surprise because I thought, well, okay, these kids are like 6 and 7, but they know, man, they see everything. And so we just kind of laughed at the conversation, but that was a real reminder for me that it does not matter what your kid's age is. If they're even around you having the conversation, they can be riding their bikes up and down, scrolling on their phone, playing video games, whatever it is, they are watching you at all times. So be mindful of that. And so maybe in the next 12 months, you decide to expand on an interest or a hobby that you've been interested in. Guys have all kinds of hobbies. Guys like boats, guys like golf, guys like guns, guys like hiking, guys like mountain bikes, trucks, cars. There's something that you can expand upon. Maybe you have a little side hustle or passion project you can start. Well, now is the time. Right now is the time to look at your passion project and just go for it. Just do it. Expand upon it. Start making some videos. Just get into it. Recently, I've been able to talk to some dads about the whole podcasting thing and how it works and what the platform is and what the content strategy is. And I'm just like, go for it, man. Don't wait. Don't wait to get started on something that is on your mind, especially if you're thinking about it all the time. Just go for it. And also, don't worry about what people are going to say about you or your little passion project or your side hustle or whatever. People don't actually care what you're doing at all. They're not thinking about you. They might think about you for a second and then boom, they move on to their own life, to their own worries, to their own desires, to whatever's going on in their life. The only reason why I'm not 5 years in on this podcast thing is because I was so worried about what people would say about me, what they would think about me, and what they would judge me on if I started a podcast. It kept me small for so many years. I was so worried about things that didn't even matter, that weren't even true. They were all just fixtures in my mind. I was making myself believe that people would judge me or laugh at me or say whatever about me. And now that I've started this, I know that nobody actually cares. Nobody's thinking about you. So you might as well go for it. Don't be the same person you are in August that you are in January. Right now it's February. Who are you going to be? Are you still going to have these people's, opinions on your mind, keeping you small, holding you back? I'm telling you right now, they're not even thinking about you. Nobody's thinking about you. Nobody cares about what you do. So just go for it. This one time, just go for it. Trust me. If you just commit, you will find the steps. You will find the platform. You will find a way. It's not that hard. You just need to take the first step. And so in the next 12 months, personally, I'm a man of faith. Where are you going to be in your faith the next 12 months? I can speak for myself as that for a long, long time, I thought that I could do all of this on my own. I felt that I could carry all of the weight that I was holding on my own, providing for everyone, trying to fix everything, trying to be there for everyone, basically just carrying the entire load of life on my own. As I've grown and as I've expanded on my faith, It's shown me that being a leader isn't all about doing it yourself. It's not about self reliance all of the time. It's not about carrying all the weight. It is surrendering to God, allowing Him to take control, allowing Him to carry the load. Letting go and letting God is one of the most powerful phrases and one of the absolute life changing phrases that I personally keep in my heart all the time. I just need to allow God to guide me, growing in my faith as a leader. It's been a realization that I don't need to control everything. I cannot control everything that goes on in my life. And so when I let go and I let God, I let Him carry the load. I let Him guide me. And that's been such a powerful thing for me. So much stress off of my back. And when I surrender, the pressure is off. It's not about my ego. It is just about helping others and serving others. And now, letting go doesn't mean that my life is easy and without challenges, without any hardship. That is not the case at all. Last year was a very difficult year for me professionally. Things did not go my way in the way that I wish they would have. And sometimes it's a hard pill to swallow. But picked myself up and dusted myself off, and I took steps forward. And that was God challenging me. He was signaling to me that I needed to grow. And I've accepted that challenge. I accepted that challenge and I've grown. And so it's been a wonderful, awesome ride, but it has definitely not been an easy ride. But it started with one step. And so now I measure success differently. It's not whatever rank I hold in my job as a firefighter. It's not the amount of followers that I have on my social media. It's not the amount of money that I make in my work and in real estate and in my personal fitness business, my coaching business. I measure success now with my intentionality, my presence, and my personal growth. That's how I measure success. I'm not measuring success with a number. I'm measuring my personal success with how I am aligned with my passion and with my mission. How aligned am I with helping others, serving God, serving my family, and serving my community? How aligned am I? That's my measure of success. And am I there? No, there's always room to work on. There's always room to work on everything. But I'm getting there slowly. So let's say that you don't do anything differently these next 12 months. Probably not going to hit rock bottom. Probably not going to go broke. Probably nothing catastrophic is going to happen. And all that's really going to happen is that you're going to lower your standards a little bit. They're going to get just a bit lower. But that's the illusion. That's what makes it look like it's not much at first. But over time, over the course of 3, 4, 5 years, you slowly begin to fade. You slowly become a shell of a man that you used to be. The person, the competitor, kind of dies down a little bit. Your discipline for your workouts, for your food, for your business, everything kind of slows down a little bit. Your discipline is getting weaker. Maybe you're not as hungry. And that's when you start telling stories about who you used to be instead of the person that you're becoming and who you are building towards. That's when that starts. Man, you were the man. I was the man. But I just got tired. Age. Once you hit 40, it's all downhill. That's the line that we tell ourselves. And that's the line that basically allows you to make excuses as to why you are not building yourself, why you are not becoming the 2.0 version. But what happens if over the next 12 months you do take action? You do get lean and jacked, hitting the gym, getting your food. You start that side hustle, that passion project, whatever it is that you wanted to do. You do begin to prioritize the relationship with your wife. Where will your relationship be? Date nights? You reignite the passion in your marriage. You get your confidence back. Your side hustle starts making you some money. Why? Because you took action. You actually went for it. Things start to look a little bit better. So, what can you do today? What can you do this week to become that version? Well, start with a workout. Start with a walk. Go walk outside every day for 30 minutes. Walk after each meal for 10 minutes. Go for a hike. Go for a bike ride. Or just have maybe one meaningful conversation with your wife without the kids around, because that's impossible. Maybe you remove one bad habit. Maybe you chew tobacco, or what are the little pouches? What are those things? Whatever they are. Nicotine. Maybe you stop using those. Whatever it is that you do, take that first step. All of the rest of the information that you need will follow. You will figure it out. Don't stay the same these next 12 months. Be that 2.0 version of yourself. I've said that maybe 5-10 times already. The next version of yourself is inside of you. Go for it. Do it. I want to thank you so very much for joining me, spending some time with me on this podcast here today. If you found this interesting and helpful, like it, share it with another dad, mom, whoever. And thank you so much for all of the support. God bless.